Hello Bradley Products, my name is iToaster and today we're going to take a quick look at LawBreakers. LawBreakers is an upcoming first-person shooter from the company Boss Key Productions as their first real title. This was a company founded in 2014 by Cliff Bleszinski, if I pronounced that correctly, and Arjan Brussee. Why do your names have to be so fucking hard to pronounce? These are two very well-known people in the gaming industry, with the former having worked on Unreal Tournament with Epic Games, and the latter having worked on Killzone as well as Battlefield Hardline. Both, as a result, have a lot of experience in first-person shooters, and as a result, the company is coming out with its first game, and again, it is a first-person shooter. And it is a good one at that. I'm going to say that right off the bat. LawBreakers is good. To me, it plays like what the future of a first-person shooter would have been seen as back in the time when the original Unreal Tournament was popular, back in the time when Quake was a big thing. Back in those days, they would look forward to the future and they would have probably seen a game such as LawBreakers being what was being pushed forward. That wasn't until, of course, the industry got Call of Duty and Battlefield eyes and everything just sort of went to hell and back. And yes, mentioning a game going back to classic roots means I have to bring up kind of the elephant in the room here. Overwatch. You can't put out a first-person shooter nowadays without someone going, how does it compare to Overwatch? What did it rip off? What's it doing? LawBreakers doesn't rip off Overwatch. Let's start with that right there. It doesn't, with the exception of, one character. On the contrary, LawBreakers takes that old gameplay and evolves it, effectively forgetting that games such as Call of Duty and Battlefield exist, which I think is good. It puts LawBreakers in its own little kind of bubble. It's very different from anything else I've played, and that's kind of surprising. It has a huge amount of focus on mobility, with every character in the game being able to move at rather insane speeds, with the exception of maybe one or two. Among the 9 classes, you're going to have characters that can do things such as blinking a la Tracer style, but with the ability to blink upwards. You're going to have characters that have a quadruple jump. You're going to have multiple characters with jetpacks on their back. Everyone's capable of moving at very high speeds. Everyone's capable of getting around the battlefield at a very high speed. And this is encouraged by the map design, which has a huge amount of elevation to it, not to mention huge central areas where the gravity is actually turned off, or at least lowered to a very low amount. A little more like playing on the outskirts of a space station than like playing on Earth. With all of this, even the heaviest characters in the game can pick up some rather insane movement speeds in these zero-gravity areas. The result is that everyone's moving around very quickly. Everyone is always picking up speed. Everyone is doing some insane stunts, and it's very interesting to look at and very fun to play. And this is helped by extremely good shooting. The shooting has extremely good feedback, all of the shots matter, and there are no one-shot kill weapons in the game. There is nothing that can one-shot kill another player. There is not at all. I found that kind of surprising. It's rare to see a game where there isn't something that can one-shot kill someone when they're not careful. You always have time to react, and that's good. You can always tell when someone's shooting you, and you can always do something about it. All this happens across 4 game modes within the game, which are as follows. Capture the battery, capture the uplink, capture the ball in reverse, and capture the zone. Wait, what? See, this is where my issues with the game start to come into play, because no, there's no such thing as a perfect game, much as I wish there was. And the issue with LawBreakers is that, while at the same time, it is definitely doing its part to be unique, it has definitely pulled off being original, definitely pulled off being different, someone in the marketing team, someone in the development team said, wait a minute, people don't want an arena shooter anymore. Everyone's gathering around Paladins. Everyone's gathering around Overwatch.
You are fake news.
Everyone's gathering around No, they're not. Everyone's gathering around these team-based shooters with objectives on them. Well, I guess that's what we're going to have to do then. So they have 5-on-5 team-based gameplay with these light objectives in them. Very simple objectives, really the most basic that you could possibly think of, but they still exist. These light objectives really just exist because they want to be able to say it's a team-on-team objective-based shooter, which it isn't, and I don't think that's a good thing that they're saying that. LawBreakers is an arena shooter. You need to know that before you go in and try playing it. It does not play like Overwatch. It does not play like Team Fortress 2. It is not in any way, shape, or form a team-based objective shooter, despite having that as one of its things, apparently. You're going to find a lot of people running around and just trying to kill each other, because that's where the fun of the game is, running around stupid high speeds and shooting everything in sight. That's what it really boils down to, and it's surprising that there's no deathmatch mode and there's no team deathmatch mode, there's none of that. It's very surprising, actually, because those modes are what would fit the game well. Even the maps seem to be designed for it. I can imagine bigger, more open maps designed for deathmatch with a whole ton of zero-gravity areas, far more than there are right now. But for what it is, LawBreakers is fun, and in fairness, this is a beta. I don't know for a fact that there isn't a deathmatch mode. I don't know for a fact there isn't a team deathmatch mode. Those are probably going to be in the final game. I can't see it existing without them. And to that end, I do not understand why the game modes are so similar. Of the 4 game modes in the beta, 3 of them are ridiculously similar for that matter. 2 of them are pretty much the exact same thing, with one minor gameplay element difference that really you're never going to notice, and the other basically being the same thing but in reverse, where instead of taking the flag to your own base, you take it to theirs. I'm all for having as many game modes as possible, but not when they're like this. Especially not when they're being considered separate game modes, especially not when you're looking at it and it literally calls them separate game modes. If they were more or less variants on Capture the Flag, that would make sense, but not the way they are right now. There is also a huge emphasis on score by killing, which again ruins the team gameplay of this game. You don't get a lot of points for causing damage and getting assists. You really only get a lot of points for making the finishing blow and actually killing someone. You get no points whatsoever for supporting your team, which is why there's only one support character, and you get nothing if you are supporting your team by healing them. Absolutely nothing. And while you could just ignore the score counter, you could just say, I'm having fun shooting people, well, the game shoves it in your face. After every match, you get shown among the other players in your team where you ranked. Then you get shown to the whole entire server where you ranked. And then you get given a grade rating, which can go all the way up to S, as far as I am aware, but it can also drop down to a D, effectively saying, hey, you weren't getting the final blow on people, therefore, fuck you. But I understand the point. This really is trying to be an arena shooter, and an arena shooter is all about kills. It's all about just running around at high speeds and causing ridiculous amounts of damage and having a ton of fun doing it. Oh, and the gore. The gore's there, trust me. This is an M-rated game, and it shows. In the end, LawBreakers is a fun, arena-based first-person shooter. It is not to be confused with an objective-based shooter such as TF2 and Overwatch. Again, I cannot stress that enough. It is arena kind of gameplay. It will play like an arena shooter. And if that is your thing, then LawBreakers is right up your alley. Gorgeous graphics, incredible mobility, fantastic gunplay. Just please look up some gameplay of the game before you actually buy it. Please. Make sure it's for you. Red recipe and Discord in the description below. I will see you all in the next video. Stay toasty, my friends.